with Matthew chapter 11. Jesus and John the Baptist. After Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and preach in the towns of Galilee. When John heard in prison what Christ was doing, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who was to come, or should we expect someone else?" Jesus replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor. Blessed is the man who does not fall away on account of me." As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. "What did you go out into the desert to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No, those who wear fine clothes are in the king's palaces. Then what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, 'I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.' I tell you the truth, among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been forcefully advancing, and forceful men lay hold of it. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come. He who has ears, let him hear. To what can I compare this generation? They are like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling out to others, 'We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We sang a dirge, and you did not mourn.' For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, 'He has a demon.' The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, 'Here is a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners.' But wisdom is proved right by her actions." Wow, there is a lot here in just this first portion. Listen to what Matthew is telling us, what he's learned from Jesus, and listen to what he says. Jesus replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor. Blessed is the man who does not fall away on account of me." So during this time, you had John the Baptist, and he was, even when he was young, even when he was an infant, there were already things starting to happen. There were already movement, and even in John's life. And so here he is at a later age in his life, I believe in his mid-30s, and here he is preaching and teaching about who is to come, the Savior. And with human thoughts and feelings, he may have thought, okay, is this the person that is the Savior? And so he sent his disciples to ask that question, just to make sure. I'm pretty sure John really did know at this point that Jesus was the Savior, his dear friend was the Savior. So it was more so to help his own disciples as well, because John had followers, people who saw him as a prophet, as he was, and as he is still. And so I think whenever I read this, I see this more as something for for the disciples to see, as well as the people who were following John. Because here comes this next person whose name is Christ, or who is Jesus, and they're like, wow, he's doing all of these miracles. He's doing all these things. Is this the Messiah? And so in John's case, he wants them to see for themselves that, yes, this is the Messiah. And so Jesus replies to John's disciples, "You see what you're seeing. You're seeing that the blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the dead are raised, the good news is preached. So they're seeing for their own eyes that, yes, this is the Messiah. Yes, this is the Savior. And we have something to be joyous and happy because it is coming to pass. The whole prophecy, the whole what needed to have happened from the beginning is happening, bringing past to present. We too can rejoice in the Lord, for He is good. His mercy endures forever. We also see that what He sets out to do, He has accomplished. And there are many things that He is still setting out to do in our lives that we are excited for, that we can be excited for, because all good things come from above. So take a moment to look at your life and take a moment to see the journey that you have with the Lord. Before we go on though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel and what does it make you think?